Kia ora. This is a video where I'm going to talk about what I'm currently reading, what I'm trying to get through. But I keep on picking up new books and not finishing books. So these are ones that I've started, and I want to make this video to kind of actualize finishing them. So, first up, we have Dante's Divine Trilogy by Alistair Gray. So, this is a translation of um, Dante, like the Divine Comedy, but uh, it's Englishified a little bit. Let's see, what does Alistair Gray have to say about this? He says Englished in very free verse by Alistair Gray. So Alistair Gray is a Scottish muralist and also author, and this is his very free translation of Inferno and Purgatorio and Paradiso. It's kind of interesting because he definitely tries to capture the what the book's saying, but in like a very direct and clear style. And he changes a few things, but mostly turning them into sort of northern Northern England idiom. So the political factions in the Divine Comedy are referred to as the Tories and the Whigs, for example, which is definitely not the case in the original. But that's to contextualize what these political factions represent in a more sort of contemporary setting. And there's also a few changes where the things like mean the same thing, but are translated into idiom that English idiom that you would understand. The writing is very elucidated and clear, and it reads sort of like an illuminated text at times. It is very readable, and the translation doesn't take that many liberties um, outside of the few sort of situations where it's making things more clear for the reader. I think this is a very good readable translation, although I wouldn't even consider this work to be a piece of translation. More, it is Alistair Gray's own piece of writing, more so than it is Dante's. It's more Alistair Gray took the Divine Comedy and then made a transformative um, artwork out of it. And also, the artwork on the cover design, is all Alistair Gray's. So these are actually his drawings, as he was a muralist. And that's the great thing about all of Alistair Gray's works, is he does the art for them. So it really kind of, and the art always syncs up with his writing style. It's a very, very clear, very I would say very profound. And I really, after reading the Robin Kirkpatrick translation of the Divine Comedy, I think this work holds up as being more approachable, although a bit less literal than Robin Kirkpatrick's version published by Penguin, but it's very good. The next book that I'm trying to get through, I'll probably finish this one in a day or two. I don't have that much left, and it's quite quick to read because it's very readable, and also the poetry stanzas don't take up that much space. And then we have Borges, Collected Fictions. So I'm pretty far through, and then there's a chunk at the end which is notes that I'm probably not going to read the notes this time through. What can I say? Borges is one of the greats. He's one of the all time great authors, and This is just the collection. He basically only wrote short stories. He also did um, literary criticism and essays, but this is just the short stories. He did not write any novels. He also wrote poetry as well, which is not in this. But yeah, the collected fiction is very, very good. I can pretty confidently recommend this as a great book, and I plan on finishing it pretty soon. But I probably will go back to this one after I have worked through Dante's Divine Trilogy. But yeah, this one, to everyone who's recommended Borges or ever suggested Borges or talked about Borges, um, thanks for the recommendation. This is really good. And yeah, I mean, Ficciones, it's, you know, the gun of walking paths. That stuff is fire. Okay. And then sort of a little short one. I don't have the dust jacket on right now just because generally take dust jackets off while I'm reading. This is The Portrait of a Lady by Henry James. And it's sort of a kind of like a proto modernist work. It's sort of very influential on the modernists, but it's not in a modernist style, but it's obviously something that would go on to influence early 20th century writers. I like it so far, but it's sort of just kind of like a put a book on the background and don't worry about it too much. Because sometimes I just want to read words and I don't really want to like try to figure out what's going on. And this is sort of like a detailed character study of a lady, basically. And she goes from I can't remember her name. I probably should remember it, but she goes from America to England and travels around Europe and sort of a portrait of her, like a detailed portrait of her. That's essentially the conceit of the novel, and detailing characters in her life and how they bring out different characteristics of her. And sort of, it's a novel about like wasted potential, but also just kind of like a deep look into someone um, living at the time using Henry James's very kind of I wouldn't say he tends to sort of skirt around saying things where he's sort of using a lot of language to infer meaning, but not directly like outright saying exactly what's happening. And I think that's really what makes him so influential on modernists. It's a very dense style, but it's more dense in the fact that it's always referring to things, but never quite like outright saying stuff. Um, and yeah, that's that. This is sort of just like a background kind of when I'm in between books and I just wanna pick something up. But yeah, and then also doesn't have the dust jacket on, but this is the Odyssey, translated by Emily Wilson. So I don't know if you can see that. There we go. It's the Odyssey translated by Emily Wilson, and I've read a bit over half of it, and the introduction is very good. The Emily Wilson really does understand the Homeric ancient Greek and understands the story on a very intimate level and brings it across in iambic pentameter, which is not what Homer would have used, but it's very iambic pentameter is very natural to English. It's very like when we hear it, we seem to think it's like it's got quite a naturalistic sounding. It sounds like poetry to us, and then that really like brings the sort of the poeticness of the Odyssey to life, and also Emily Wilson tries to stick to very plain language, but also retains a lot of the original idioms and poetic strangeness in the original text in Homer's The Odyssey. Um, and I think that um, sticking to those idioms and expressions in a way that translates into modern English, because modern English is very, very far away, very far removed from the Homeric ancient Greek, that they're basically alien languages to each other, but she tries to retain a lot of that sort of that yeah. There's certain scenes where yeah, I don't know, it's hard to articulate. There's a lot of wind up seas. There's a lot of repetition, but in the introduction, Emily Wilson explains that she tried to not repeat the same lines over and over again, which is one of the features of the Odyssey. Is it reuses a lot of the same expressions to describe things. It has sort of stock phrases, which when people are speaking it out loud, because it's sort of an oral text, it helps to anchor the speaker in the text and where they're up to. And for example, there's a metaphor where dawn comes with rosy fingers, but um, Emily Wilson, every time that appears, which it appears quite often, dawn shows up quite a lot in the Odyssey. She reframes it and uses similar metaphors. There's always petals. There's always fingers and dawn and sort of a female persona, but she rechanges the language to each individual time that comes up. Sometimes she keeps the same metaphor, but generally it's the like stuff like Wine Dark Sea, where that's kind of culturally established um, in English canon as a standard Homeric metaphor. It's very good, and I want to get to it very soon. It's either between the Odyssey or um, Borges's collected fictions, of which one I'm going to read next after the Alistair Gray translation. So yeah, hopefully that's everything, and I hope you enjoyed the video. I will see you in the next one. Cheers.